So if you cannot beat a team, the worst team in the league, by the way, literally, a team that has lost 11 straight games coming into this one, if you cannot beat that squad, maybe it is time to think about next year. Caps lose 4-3 in regulation to the last place Vancouver Canucks. The Caps allegedly wanting to bust out of their own 3-game skid. They had 3 straight losses all in regulation coming into this one. They had an opportunity tonight against a team, like I said, who had lost 11 straight games. This is a team in the Vancouver Canucks who, even after this win against our very own Washington Capitals, they are still in last place in the entire National Hockey League, 32 out of 32 in the NHL, and not by a little bit. Oh no, they are 7 points still behind the St. Louis Blues, who are in 31st out of 32 teams. The Vancouver Canucks, 32nd out of 32 teams, and they are 7 points behind still. Even after this win against the Washington Capitals, they are 7 points behind the 31st place team. It is not a good hockey club in the Vancouver Canucks, and yet our Washington Capitals could not find a way to grab 2 points tonight. And I am so glad that I spent several hundreds of dollars to be in the second row in the lower bowl for this shit show. As you all know, I was at the game here in Vancouver, and it started off well, right? First period, the Caps, they draw a couple of power plays. They get a goal on both of them. As first, it is Dylan Strome. Beautiful passing play here between Tom Wilson, who was back in the lineup tonight, and Dylan Strome in front of the Canucks net. It is essentially a wide open empty net tap in for Dylan Strome past Kevin Lankinen. So yeah, Dylan Strome puts the Caps up 1-0, assists Tom Wilson, like I said, on the primary assist in his return, and John Carlson as well on the secondary assist. Caps up 1-0. And then a little over a minute after that, it is Justin Sourdif this time on the power play. Now this was cool here because Justin Sourdif, if you don't know, he is from here, from right here in the Metro Vancouver area, not from like Vancouver specifically, but from one of the surrounding areas. It's all the Metro Vancouver area, right? We call it all the Metro Vancouver area. So he is from Richmond, BC, which is like right up the highway there from Vancouver. It's all part of, like I said, the Metro Vancouver area. So this is his hometown. He scores here in his hometown on the power play here to put his team up. Caps are up 2-0 early. And assists on that Justin Sourdif goal are to Dylan Strome and to Alex Ovechkin as well. And I've just got to say, there were a lot of very obnoxious Canucks fans around us who were like yelling at Alex Ovechkin every single time that he touched the puck all night long, yelling at him, "You stink." I'm putting that nicely. That is not what they were saying. I'm using different words, different verbiage. But yeah, they were essentially saying, "You really stink. Retire, retire, retire." They're yelling at him every time he touches the puck. And that is rather funny, them yelling anything, Canucks fans yelling anything at Alex Ovechkin. And the reason why that is so funny is because, yes, he may be 40 years old, okay? He would also be the leading scorer on your Vancouver Canucks, not by a little bit, by a wide margin. Elias Pettersson, right, who is in the prime of his career. He leads the Vancouver Canucks this season with 13 goals and 29 points. Hard to imagine why you are in last place when you pay $11.5 million per season for that type of production. So Alex Ovechkin at 40 fucking years old with 20 goals and 43 points already on the season, he would lead the Vancouver Canucks in both goals and in points, both by a wide margin. So, yeah, Ovi, retire, right? Because you are embarrassing these younger guys like Elias Pettersson and Brock Besser, etc., 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 on the Canucks roster. He is 40 years old, and all of these 20-somethings, overpaid 20-somethings on the Vancouver Canucks are still not even fit to hold his jockstrap. Anyways, back to the game, and still in the first period here, Brock Besser, who had not scored in about 100 years, he gets one here. Finally, his 11th goal only of the season. Yippee. Great job, Brock Besser. This one puts the Canucks on the board and cuts the Caps lead to 2-1. Then, near the end of the first period, less than 2 minutes to go now, Evander Kane throws a muffin on net, near the net, gets a great bounce there for the Vancouver Canucks off of, I believe it was Matt Roy's skate and pass Logan Thompson. And so we are all tied up 2-2 on the garbage goal by Evander Kane. And that is how the first period would end. Second period, early on in the second period, the Washington Capitals, they are forced to kill off a 5-on-3 power play for the Vancouver Canucks. And they actually have a really great penalty kill. I will be putting up, I got a lot of video of this 5-on-3 penalty kill from right behind the net there. With it being in the second period, our seats were right behind the Canucks net at the Caps shoot twice end. But this was in the second period, right, when they had swapped ends. And so we were right behind Logan Thompson for the second period. And so I got a lot of really great footage of this 5-on-3 penalty kill here by the Washington Capitals. I will be putting some of that up on the YouTube channel as a short. So yeah, they have a really great 5-on-3 penalty kill, right? They kill off both power plays there. So they come out of that still tied 2-2, right? And after a penalty kill like that, of course, anytime you kill off a 5-on-3, you are feeling very positive. And it did seem to give the Caps momentum for the next few shifts, but ultimately it doesn't matter here again, because again, it is just simple, stupid mistakes defensively that are absolutely killing this team right now. After killing off the 5-on-3 power play for the Canucks, the Caps, they give up 2 even strength goals in quick succession here. First, it was Drew O'Connor, makes it 3-2, and then Phil Hronek makes it 4-2. Just simple, stupid mistakes here defensively, yet again, absolutely killing the Washington Capitals. They had the momentum, like I said, after that 5-on-3 kill, great kill. Awesome penalty kill, honestly. Like I said, it was right in front of us. I'll post the footage. But yeah, you have the momentum after that phenomenal 5-on-3 penalty kill. And then, like I said, you appear to have some momentum for the next few shifts, but that is all that you can, manage to make it last for, is just a few shifts, because again, it's stupid, silly mistakes. And now 2 pucks are in the back of your net. And now you go from being in a tie game 2-2 to being down 4-2. And that is how the second period would end. And so we go to the third period, right, which was a huge period for the Washington Capitals. Goes without saying. Like I said, they're on a 3-game losing streak coming into this one, 3 straight losses in regulation. This is the worst fucking team in the National Hockey League by far. It's not even close, who had lost 11 straight games. This was a massive third period for the Washington Capitals. And what do? Not much, right? They come out. I will say, okay, the last 10 minutes, the last 5 minutes, whatever you want to call it, were much, much better. But again, they don't decide to really start playing, to really start trying their butts off until the final 10 minutes or so, right, when they were down by 2 goals. The first 10 minutes of this third period, which one of the assistant coaches, by the way, Patrick Weller, called the biggest period of the season before it started, given the circumstances that the Caps were facing, their own 3-game losing streak, needing points in the standings, and the fact that this is a terrible Canucks team who was on an 11-game loser. He called it the biggest period of the season before the third period started, okay? They come out in the first 10 minutes of this third period, and there was nothing happening. I believe they had 4 shots on net through the first 10 minutes of the third period. They just were not moving their feet. They were not making anything happen. You really felt like the comeback was there for the taking, right? Against a very fragile, very vulnerable Vancouver Canucks team whose lineup is not very good, frankly, if I'm being honest, right? So you really felt like it was there for the taking for the Caps to be able to come back in this game, and they come out in the first 10 minutes of the third period and they just do fuck all. It was shocking. It was very frustrating to watch, like I said, from the second row. And like I said, it seemed like a lack of effort, to be honest with you. It was just guys not moving their feet, guys not hustling to pucks, guys not pressuring the Vancouver Canucks at all, even though, like I said, they are a very fragile, very vulnerable team. Putting no pressure on them whatsoever. No forecheck, nothing. Again, this was right in front of us. We were at the Caps shoot twice end, right? So they were shooting right at us, right at Kevin Lankinen right in front of us for this third period. And there was just not much happening in that end of the rink. There wasn't much happening at either end of the rink, but like, you can't sit back and wait for shit to happen when you were down by 2 goals. Finally, in the last 5 minutes or so of regulation, the Caps finally wake up and start putting some pressure on the Vancouver Canucks. They missed on several chances, then just over 3 minutes to go now in regulation, they pull Logan Thompson for the extra attacker, and Dylan Strome scores. Crash the net type mentality here, finally, from the Washington Capitals, as Justin Sourdif was relentless in front of the net on this play here. He gets the primary assist on this goal, and Dylan Strome ultimately pots it past Kevin Lankinen. So this cuts the Canucks lead here now from 4-2 to 4-3, with still plenty of time remaining on the clock here to tie things up. I should say as well here on this 4-3 goal by Dylan Strome, it was Justin Sourdif on the primary assist, and then it was John Carlson as well on the secondary assist. So just over 3 minutes to go here, and it is 4-3. So the Caps, they put Logan Thompson back into their net, and then they end up pulling him again, obviously trying to get the tying goal here. They put on a ton of pressure. They almost score several times here, but they cannot get the goal to go past Kevin Lankinen. And this has kind of been the story of this stretch of Capitals games here of late, right? Is that they're down by a goal late. They put on a tremendous amount of pressure at the end of the game after not showing up to the game for the first 50 fucking minutes or so. They put on a tremendous amount of pressure on the opposition at the end of the game to try to get the game tied up. And again here tonight, this has been the story here lately. Like I said, again here tonight, they cannot get that final goal to go to get this thing tied up. So they lose 4-3 in regulation, and they walk out of Rogers Arena in Vancouver with 0 of a possible 2 standings points. So yeah, not a lot of positive here tonight in Vancouver. There never is going to be a lot of positive when you lose to the last place team in the NHL, right? I would say probably the only thing that looked good for the Caps in tonight's game, shockingly, were the special teams. Power play was really, really, really good. Obviously scored on 2 of 3 opportunities, 66.67%, whatever it is. And then the penalty kill as well. Like I said, they kill off a 5-on-3 power play for the Vancouver Canucks, and then they killed another penalty as well. So 3 for 3 on the penalty kill, including a 5-on-3 kill. So that's really good. Power play was really good, 2 for 3, like I said. So special teams, yay, they were great. 5-on-5 play, not so much. And like I said, for me, it really just comes down right now to a somewhat shocking lack of urgency that we are seeing in the Washington Capitals play. They seem to be operating as if they are first place in the Eastern Conference again, like they were last season. But that is not where they are, right? They need every standings point right now to try to make the Stanley Cup playoffs again. And that is just not the level of urgency that we are seeing. I will be frank with you. Several players tonight, getting to see things up close and in person. It always looks different than on the television, right? Little bit shocking to me how some of these guys look. Alexei Protas, oh my God. I am not sure what is going on with this guy. He was god-awful tonight. Probably the worst player on the ice. No idea what's going on there. I'm hoping that it is just because he has been injured, right? Because he is nowhere near close to the player who we saw last season, right? He was such a monster, a complete beast all of last season up until he had that cut tendon, that foot injury. And he has never really been the same since then, in my opinion. He did kind of appear to be figuring it out and getting back to being that player earlier on this season. I think we were about maybe halfway through. And then he had another injury there, right? We were never told if it was related to that injury that he had at the end of last season that caused him to miss some of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Caps. But yeah, when he had that tendon injury, he came back for the playoffs last season, and he was nowhere close to the same player that he was throughout the entire regular season after having that tendon injury, right? And then he, like I said, he was pretty much garbage to start the season this year. Then he appeared to be figuring it out again. He appeared to be getting back to being more of himself. And then he had another injury. Again, we're not sure if it was related or not to that tendon cut that he had at the end of last season. So I don't know. I'm hoping that it is related to injury and that it is something that can be rehabbed eventually and fixed, because this is not the guy that we need. He was awful tonight, seriously. Connor McMichael, did not notice him all night long. Several other guys too. I'm trying not to rip all of their heads off here, but really defensively as well, it's guys who we're so accustomed to not making mistakes, and even those guys are making mistakes. Like Matt Roy is turning the puck over. Rasmus Sandin is turning the puck over like crazy. It's I don't know what to say. It just seems to be an affliction right now that every single guy on this team has come down with simultaneously for some reason. I have no idea what's going on. They just look out of sorts. They do not look themselves. And yeah, it's very, very concerning at this point, obviously, because like I said, they need every 2 points in the standings that they can get right now. All right, babes, that is going to be it for this one. For the Caps part, doesn't get any easier, right? They continue along the 6-game road trip with stops in Alberta, first in Calgary and then in Edmonton. Coming up here for their next 2 games, it will be a back-to-back, with the second half of that back-to-back being against the Oilers in Edmonton. So that could get ugly for sure. Second half of a back-to-back, never an easy one to play, especially with travel, all of that. So yeah, we will see. We will see what happens here. But I'm losing optimism, to be honest with you. The way that these guys are playing, seeing it up close, live and in person here tonight, it was really shocking, really disturbing. Just like I said, the lack of urgency and the lack of anything resembling a give a fuck meter out there for these guys right now. So I know that realistically that's not the case. They obviously do care, but it just seems to be up here right now. It seems to be between the 2 ears. It seems to be mental. It just seems like they have lost all of their confidence right now. And that can be something that's really hard to pull out of in season, right? So we will see if they can get back to being the type of team that we all know that they are. That's what's so frustrating about this, right? If your team is just bad, then you don't get upset like this. But we know that this is a really good team. We know that this is a really, really, really good team that has potential of doing really good things. We saw it last season. It's basically the same roster that we had last season, who rocketed themselves all the way up the standings and finished first place in the entire Eastern Conference. So that's why it's so frustrating, right? Because we know that they are a good team capable of much, much, much better things than what they're showing right now. So we'll see if they can get it together somewhat in Alberta coming up here. For any Canucks fans watching, don't ever forget that Alex Ovechkin at 40 years old is still better than anyone on your team. And yeah, babes, thank you all so much for watching. As always, appreciate all of you, whether you are a Caps fan or a Canucks fan. Whether you love us or hate us, we don't care. Just happy that you are here and enjoying and consuming the content. So leave me your comments down below. What did you think of this game? What do you think of this stretch of hockey being played right now by our Washington Capitals? What do you think they should do? If it continues like this, do they sell at the deadline? Is that something that we could foresee? Yeah, just leave me your guys' thoughts, your comments down below there, and just get it all out. You know, this is a safe space. Just let me know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. I always love reading those. And yeah, until next time, babes, it's been rough. It's been rough, but until next time, and as always, even when it is like this, as always, baby, let's go Caps.